Hey guys, you saw the final result at the beginning of the video, but basically today we're going to learn how to vertically camera track some footage and place some 3D objects into a scene. So let's go ahead and get started. Now first, let's come up here, go to VFX motion tracking, then open up our footage. Okay, so here is our footage. Now for this specific tutorial, we need to work in a MOV format instead of an MP4. So if you're shooting in anything other than an MOV, then make sure to convert it to MOV. You can either use this little website right here. This is a pretty good one, or you can also use the media encoder from Adobe. That's another one, but this one is paid. The other one was free. I'll put the link down below if you're interested in the free one. Okay, so now let's just open up our MOV file. And the reason we wanted to do that is to actually have it rotated like this. It won't work if it's, actually vertical. If you try to actually import some vertical footage inside Blender and try to motion track it and everything, there's just some bug that Blender has that it basically doesn't align in anything and it looks like it's floating and everything. It's just a mess. We're just going to basically track it normally like it is rotated, and then at the very end we can rotate it back. So it shouldn't be too hard. Let's actually go ahead and do it. So let's come set the scene frames, prefetch our footage. Now I do have a motion tracking tutorial if you are interested. The link to that is in the description below. But I basically just changed the match to previous frame, normalize, and then the correlation down to a 0.9. So now let's come to the first frame, hold control, and just click these little points right here. Now you kind of have to use your imagination and try to rotate the image in your mind a little bit, just so you can kind of get the orientation and everything correct inside your own head. We can of course rotate that at the very end to get the desired effect that we want. So let's just select all of these and Control T to track those forward. I'm just going to move my end keyframe to be 174 just because it seems like a lot of tracking markers are lost on 175. So that is all looking good. Now let's actually try to solve this camera motion. So I'm going to do keyframe, focal length, optical center, and radial distortion, and then solve our camera motion. Okay, so I was able to get my solve error down to a 0.11, so that is pretty good. If you get a large solve error or something like that, just play around with the A, B keyframes like that. Mine it set was 1 to 114, so that seemed to work for me. So just play around with it. Next, we need to actually orientate our footage. So let's just select 3 points that are going to be on our floor that are going to form a 90-degree triangle. So this is on my countertop, so that is going to be our floor, and it does form a 90-degree triangle. So let's just set that to be our floor, then this to be our origin, then this to be, we'll set that to be our y-axis, I guess, like that, and then we can just set the scale and increase that till we get something we like. That is looking pretty good. Let's set up the tracking scene also. So that is looking pretty good and how we want it. Now let's come back out to the layout tab, just view what this is kind of doing. We can get back those tracking dots just by coming here and then motion tracking like that. And so now you can see that this is all looking pretty good. However, it looks kind of weird. So we actually need to change around some things. Delete this background collection and also the view layer up here. We don't really need those two things. Then in the compositing tab, we can just delete these 4 nodes and place the movie clip into the alpha over like that. Then I like to hit convert to pre-multiply before I forget anything. And now we can come back out to layout tab just because we're done with all that. You'll still see that everything is a little wonky. So we actually need to come over here, set this to cycles, GPU compute, and then I'm basically just going to set up all my basic render settings. So adaptive sampling, viewport denoising on, light paths I like to change down to 3 and then turn the caustic off. And then film, we need transparency. Performance, we need 512 by 512 like that. And I think that is all the settings we're going to use. Now if we go into rendered view, we should see this is what we want. Now it might still look a little weird to you. However, if we go to the side view, we will see that our scene is still basically turned the way we want it. But you can see the camera is a little just tilted and everything like it should be. So that's really not that big of a deal. We can just do it how we would normally do anything in our scene, and then basically just flip it in post and everything. So let's just first of all get rid of this cube, and then we can come up to file, import, and I actually downloaded a FBX file from online. Link to that is in the description if you're interested. Okay, so here is mine. I'm just going to import that in. It's basically just a tank. So that is looking pretty good and everything. Now you might have to rotate it a little bit and kind of just, get a feel for the scene. But that is looking pretty good. Just going to set the scale there. And you do want to make sure it's resting on this floor plane, so that is also looking good. I'm just going to scale this guy up. And finally, we just need to do the lighting for our scene. Let's see, this is going to be kind of confusing, so I'm going to bring out another window right there. And then just kind of position the light where the light is coming from in my scene. It's about right there, I think. I'm gonna increase the radius like that. And let's just turn the power up to something crazy and see how that looks. Looks all right. I think I need it to be a little bit of a blue tint. So that is looking pretty good. Like that. I'm gonna decrease the power just a tad. And then just gonna place that there. Basically just doing some basic lighting for our scene. Doesn't need to be something fancy. It can just be super basic and everything. Again, we're not really worrying about how this looks. I just wanted to show you how to camera track with vertical footage. So that is looking pretty good. We can just right click and join those two areas to close out of that. Okay, so that is looking good. Now all we have to do is composite it together. So let's come out to our render properties. Just going to come up to the compositing tab also. Let's go ahead and render out this image just to see what it looks like. Okay, so that is looking pretty good and it's rendering out pretty fast. So I think I'm just going to stick with a movie file format instead of rendering it out as a PNG sequence. So what we can do is if you wanted to composite a little bit more, you can add a lot of stuff like, color correction, all that stuff. I'm just going to leave it as is for this tutorial. Let's come to the output properties. I'm just going to specify a new location for this file. Okay, so once we have that, we can come to the file format. I'm going to set that to FFmpeg video. Then in the encoding, I'm going to set that to MP4. And then finally, the output quality, I'm going to set to high. I'm just going to save this real quick, just so we can do that. And then, so now finally, all we have to do is go ahead and render out this animation. Okay, so here it is. It's tracked correctly and everything. It's all looking good. It's just not rotated. So now what we can do is just come back inside of Blender. We can come up here to the video editing thing. We're going to add in a movie. And then just select this little movie clip that we just made, add that in. Now what we can do is just, with this movie clip selected, you can come up to transform. We're just going to rotate that 90 degrees, negative 90 degrees, like that. However, it's still a little messed up and everything, and that's actually because we have the wrong resolution set up here. So I'm just going to hit 1080 by 1920, so just the reverse of it before, and you can see that that's now flipped it. And so finally what we need to do is I'm just going to rename my final output, and all the other properties should be the same. So now all we need to do is hit render animation one final time and we should have the right animation. Okay guys, here is the final result on the screen now. You can see that we finally solved the issue we were having earlier of not being able to camera track vertically and everything. Trust me, if you do try to actually camera track it with it being vertical instead of horizontal, it will mess up. It's just something really weird inside of Blender. I'm sure it's a bug that the Blender team just has never found out or anything, but it is such a niche little need that I don't feel the need that they need to fix it. This is kind of an easy little workaround that we can do. But anyways guys, thank you guys so much for watching. We have a Patreon and Discord, links to those are in the description below. But anyways guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.